Well, David Beckham has enjoyed a very warm catch-up with King Charles and Queen Camilla at the Chelsea Flower Show earlier this week. Do we know what was actually said?
Right, well, that's the question on everyone's lips because, I mean, as we know, things are getting very interesting between the royal family and the Beckhams. Of course, allegedly we had Nicola Peltz and Brooklyn Beckham, who are allegedly having some issues with David and Victoria. They reportedly met with Harry and Meghan recently. So that was, I'm sure, on everyone's minds. And then just a week after that, we've got David with the King and Queen. So I'm not sure, if they really got into it with the whole Harry and Meghan connection. I think it was pretty neutral topics. They stuck to talking about the Chelsea Flower Show, of course. There was a rose there. It's called the King's Rose, which is being shown this year, and all funds go to charity. So that was wonderful. David and Camilla talked about that. So it was funny, but the timing of it just was almost freakish because, here they are, in the tabloids, the Beckhams and the Sussexes, and then here he is with the King just days later. It was quite remarkable.
Absolutely. Now, Princess Catherine took centre stage at her first Buckingham Palace garden party in 2 years this week, where she was joined by more than 800 guests. But why has one special interaction made the headlines?
Yeah, so, I think all eyes are on Kate this week. She was back at Buckingham Palace hosting this garden party. There was over 800 people there, as you said. And it was the dream team. It was Kate and Will, and then the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh, Sophie and Edward. So, just really the core royal family there. They hosted all of these people from across the UK. Some of them, I'm sure were there just to see Kate. I mean, pretty exciting to have the Princess of Wales back in action. But certainly all the headlines were about a very special meeting between Kate and two of the guests, and they were Vicky and Aaron, whose daughter sadly passed away from cancer. Her name was Liz, and we actually spoke about it on this show last year. Her wish before she passed away, she was a photographer, was to capture photos of the Prince and Princess of Wales. So she met Will and Kate last year while she was undergoing her cancer treatment. Unfortunately, she has passed away. So I think that was a very sort of somber moment for Kate, but a lovely tribute to be able to host her parents and her family at Buckingham Palace. And what a reminder, I think, as well of, as much as we celebrate someone like Kate going into remission, unfortunately, a lot of people aren't that lucky.
Yeah, it's very true. The mother of Princess Beatrice's stepson has made headlines after weighing in on an infamous moment from Meghan Markle's cooking show. Now, what can you tell us about this?
Yeah, well, this was sort of one that flew under the radar. So, of course, we were talking a few weeks ago about that weird moment in Meghan's show where she corrects Mindy Kaling on her name and she says, "I'm Meghan Sussex," and how dare you call me Meghan Markle, basically. And that has just been viral on social media for weeks. And the Daily Mail, I think it was, they picked up that Dara Huang, who is, of course, the mother of Beatrice's stepson, she actually commented being like, "That was weird." So, which is kind of a funny insight, and she'd know. I mean, she has been around the royal family, and I think it just goes to show how ridiculous that whole thing was.
Oh, wasn't it?
But very funny. But, Dara Huang doesn't speak out very often, so she must have felt quite strongly about this one.
Fair enough. And now the Danish palace has released new photos of Crown Prince Christian completing national service amid rising geopolitical tensions in the region. What's the latest on the prince's military training, and how are Queen Mary and King Frederick dealing with their son's absence?
Right. Well, this has been one of the big stories in Denmark this year. Of course, they have, tensions with Donald Trump over Greenland. There's also tensions with Russia on the other side. So, there is a lot of emphasis at the moment on national security in Denmark. And part of that comes down to national service. They have had male national service for decades, and they're actually introducing it for women as well. Only a few countries do that at the moment, Israel being one of them. So it's a very big topic. And of course, Christian is currently in that time of his life. He is completing national service. He has been living for several months at a very remote military base, undergoing intense sort of military training. And then the palace this week has released some new photos of him doing the training. It was during an exercise, a week-long exercise. They had to march for something like 55 kilometres, surviving off a few hours sleep, very meagre food rations, really kind of sort of simulating what it would be like in wartime. And I think that this is a huge topic in Denmark at the moment. But in terms of the King and Queen, I'm sure it's very difficult for them. It's their son. He is the heir to the Danish throne. But it's something I think in their country that is seen as definitely just part of the experience of being Danish and respecting the country and having that nationalism. And So much so that there's even reports that Princess Isabella, his sister, technically, I think she's before the cutoff, so she wouldn't be required to do national service. But I personally believe, I think she will also do it, just to sort of send a message to Danes. So yeah, very interesting. But I'm sure for Mary and Frederick, they'll be very happy when he's home.
Absolutely. Reilly Sullivan, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.